Mr. Chair. Okay, thank you. And now I'd like to ask questions. The Bureau of Labor Statistics put out their annual unemployment numbers for states a few weeks ago. In 2013, California's unemployment rate was the fourth highest in the nation at 9%. Now we know that North Dakota, a state that has embraced the energy boom, had an unemployment rate in 2013 of 2.9%. That's one of the lowest we have ever seen. I'd like to ask the entire panel if they believe that moving forward with safe and measured and responsible development of California's energy resources can be done, and if it would reduce unemployment in your state. And if we could start with Senator Fuller and then move down the line, I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, I mean, of course it certainly would, but I think the key is what you said is safe and responsible development. In the same way that, in fact, Congressman Lowenthal said pretty much what I said in half of my opening statement, which is California is not other places. We place a high premium on environmental stewardship. So, yes, it's important that we do things safely and responsibly, as we have for more than 150 years.
I agree with your statement that, yes, there is room for reducing that unemployment rate. As pointed out earlier, a balanced approach is worth looking at, balancing those economic development, environmental stewardship, and looking at a broad range of development activities.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Olson, you stated that in 2013, California's 26 million cars and light trucks used 14.6 billion gallons of gasoline. And as you know, California relies on foreign oil to meet 50% of its demands. While California is definitely trying to migrate towards alternative modes of transportation, I think it is fairly certain that weaning Californians off of their hydrocarbon-based transportation fuels will be a long process, if it ever happens. Now, until the day comes, Mr. Olson, that hydrocarbons are no longer needed for transportation fuel in California, would you prefer that California gets its oil and natural gas from California or from countries like Russia?
With every energy source, there are risks, and it's worth looking at the pros and cons of all those, particularly if there are shifts like we're seeing today, shifts in crude oil. Currently, we do not get anything significant from Russia. As pointed out, I think one of the congressmen mentioned that it's primarily our crude oil imports come from Saudi Arabia, Ecuador, and Iraq. And
yeah, Russia is minor, but I said countries like Russia.
Okay. Well, our interest is to reduce reliance on imports. So definitely one of those approaches.
Crimea. And if you'll hurry, because I have another question.
Okay, so in essence, one of the ways we're seeing that happening is by this shift in crude oil coming from North Dakota, Canadian oil sands. That method is by rail. It's troubling that could be a significant increase in rail traffic, and safety is one area that we'll scrutinize. But here's what we sense will happen with that, and that with the number of receiving terminals that are being proposed in California, that shift could be 25% of our crude oil. It's less than 1% today. That shift could happen within 3 years. What would that displace? You look at the characteristics of that crude oil in North Dakota and Canada, it's going to displace Alaskan oil, and it's going to displace Saudi Arabian oil, not California production. So in one sense, yes, we see that happening, and it's a way of reducing that import. I also think you're right. It's not going to happen overnight, that these options tend to be they tend to be bridges, and they tend to be transitions from one thing to another. It takes time for that to happen. An example would be the increase in biofuel blends going into gasoline and diesel that are cleaner, lower carbon intensity, but still take advantage of the existing petroleum infrastructure and petroleum products. But you're having a gradual decrease of that petroleum product and decreasing foreign imports.